What is up, everyone? This is Entrepreneur Nation here on KCI 88.9 FM. I'm with the man, the legend, the myth, my boy, Josh Bois. I didn't even plan to do that rhyme there, but that was funny. How you doing, man?
Doing great.
So, you've done a lot of interesting things. You've been an entrepreneur. You're now doing a lot of investments. You've been advising. I always ask this to our guests. For people who don't know who you are, talk us through, like, how did you become an entrepreneur? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, before we get into the current, I actually kind of just, I feel like sometimes you're just born with it. Like,
Okay.
I had lemonade stands when I was a kid.
Nice.
I'd go door to door. It's the only thing I get my hands on. And 15, man, when I got my first .com, I was already bringing programmers on to develop Josh Bois control panel, JB control panel,
Wow.
and JB servers, and buying domains from people and selling them. I wasn't making, crap ton of money or anything at that time, but it just led on to the next venture and the next idea. And now we're here at Global Capital Network hosting huge investor events,
Okay. So, what was your first business like? Like you said, I'm not talking about the lemonade stand stuff, but I'm talking about like
first.com.
first.com. Like, tell us about that. What did you learn from it? All that kind of stuff.
Man, well, it taught me some good lessons about, recruiting other people. You can't build an empire alone. And I had, other guys that would go into, even chat channels and sell, my product and service to other kids as well for us. I had a game server product at the time. That was one of my companies, So, while other kids were, gaming, I'd charge them to game, So I get their parents, get other kids to go out there and programmers. But literally, I was just always at it. And it was kind of fun doing it during school because I let all my teachers know I was running my businesses, and they let me leave class. Same thing in college. I'd go off and I got a celebrity on the phone, or I got a client, I got a partner, and it was true. And
That's funny, man.
I'll be back at 30. It'd be crazy. I remember being on the phone. I'd like look in the class, and everyone's just like wide-eyed looking at the screen. I'm like taking these. People are saying the craziest stuff on the phone. I'm like, no way, and like everyone's just like, huh? Like, Business 101. And I'm like, I'll teach this class.
So it's a school of hard knocks. You kind of learn a lot.
Hard knocks, yeah.
Okay. What are some industries that you were doing? Like you talked about some of the. I know when we first met, you talked about some stuff with drones, right?
Yeah, I run a drone business now.
Okay.
That's one of my companies. I run a bunch of globaldronevideo.com.
Okay. So why drones? I'm curious.
Actually kind of stemmed out of a need. I was going to do a video project for one of my clients. I'm usually the star of the videos, and I wanted a drone overhead so I could, it's going to be me and some female video co-hosts, actually. And we're going to be like, tune into JoshBoisTV or something. Okay. I was going to point up at it. And we're having a tough time finding a guy. And I was like, So I had my investor buy the equipment. And then we put up a site for global drone video, and we do national global projects for government, big companies. I've done surf shoots for Hurley here. I've done stuff for the government on DC. I've done all sorts of cool stuff throughout the country. Shoots in Hawaii for races, basically it's just been a lot of fun, and it's been being able to hire people around the country and get money into their pocket and do a video cool product and have stuff to sell. So that's just one of the businesses, though.
That's cool.
Not even what I'm most excited about. That's like the cash flow business. That's that's I guess this isn't even really a tip video for entrepreneurs, but. If you're going to go on the ledge, moonlight, keep your job and try to do business from the side, or at least have some sort of boring business like consulting, or something where you're going to get the money in guaranteed, and then you do the riskier product, so whatever you want to do to launch nationally, globally.
Now if we had to do a mic drop moment, we had to end this interview for whatever reason, what you just said was so epic, because there is this belief that you got to pursue what you're passionate about, pursue what you're wanting to do, but you have to have something that pays the bills, keeps it going, keeps the light on, especially if you have a family or you have costs or debts or whatever. This whole evangelizing the ramen eating entrepreneur, the guy or girl that's eating ramen every day and living in like a cardboard box room. Why? You got to think abundant and be abundant if you want to be making more money or influence or whatnot. Would you agree?
I more than agree, because first off, most people don't know the passion and the trenches you're gonna have to go through to get to profitability on a business. Especially when you've been in like that 9 to 5. I've never worked for anyone else. I've worked for myself my entire life. Okay. But so I assume when you work at 9 to 5 for all these years, you're very kind of limited skill set. Even if you're relatively creative, you're not thinking for yourself and thinking for your feet and incorporating businesses and dealing with staff and hiring people and bringing in and sending invoices. It takes a while to learn things, whether it's purchase orders for a product or dealing with global clients and financial rules or. It's tough, so you're not going to be ready. You're not going to go from 0 to hero in 3 months, especially if you have to prototype something or you're really doing some crazy products. So, do it over time. But, you know, I think consistency is the thing, you know, like,
What do you mean?
you know, like every day you're either learning something, you're reading this, or you're putting in a call to ask someone above you, you know, a question, you know, or asking for mentoring. Like, maybe one day you're incorporating, the next day you're looking up, you know, how to trademark something, the next day you're, you know, figuring out something about Facebook ads, how you're gonna market your product, the next day you're reading about influence, but just always doing something, like, you know.
Wow, I like that. No, that makes a lot of sense. And you know, we're going to talk a little bit about what you're doing right now with the Global Capital Network and your role as an investor and advisor. But I kind of like what I'm hearing about this. You know, do your side hustle while making your regular job or paying the bills. Did you ever have a trough in your career, like where, you know, you were all in on your passion, but you weren't making the bills, so you had to like change things? Is there a story? I want to, our viewers, just so you know, are like early stage entrepreneurs,
Hungry.
men and women. Yeah, the Hungry audience.
Young and Hungry. I love his name, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You'll be seeing Youngry's logo on my press wall next week. He's going to be speaking at my event. You'll see it.
All right, sick.
So,
all
about that, Youngry.
But all seriousness, like, what is that? I want to know about a specific situation. I want you to be kind of vulnerable. And talk about it. I want to know, because this is what people want to hear from you.
You want to hear vulnerable? I mean, I've been in this for 15 years, so I've been through the highs, been through tons of lows. I mean, there's a point where when I lived in Silicon Valley for 6 years, you know, with the last of $10,000 investment we had from one of our investors at the time, you know, I was like, okay, I had just broken up with my girlfriend. I was, you know, sad at the time. You know, she's a real smart go-getter. She actually hosted a TEDx event out there, you know, so I was like, so I basically, with the last of our money, I was like, we bought a one-way ticket for me to go to Washington, D.C. to see my business partner where he was. You know, we were partners for 6 years, and literally spent the last money, got me out there, and then there wasn't enough money to get me back for Christmas. Even though we were bringing in money, we just decided to keep reinvesting it. So I had Christmas with his family. I'd never done that. I always had awesome family Christmas, so I literally, you know, bought them, and, you know, and we had like $500 server payments. You know, then we eventually moved in together, 2-bedroom. Literally, we were just day in, day out business. 2-bedroom apartment and with a den, and we would just wake up, come from our bedrooms, go into the den and work, and take calls on the patio, and you know, sometimes things got rough, and we still had angel investors doing joint ventures with us and money coming in, but sometimes when what people don't understand is, okay, maybe you have an investor, but they're investing into the business, not into your rent, not into your other, so you still gotta, whether you're directing their money into a business, it still has to return, and it can be tough when, you know, we were paying call centers and servers and buying domains and gateways and, you know, investing in the product, thousands of dollars. So yeah, things have been tough, and even to this day, you know, I reinvest hardcore, man. A lot of my money, no matter how big the check is, I get into, it can be 10 grand in a couple days or a week, and we just put it right back on the table. And the Winklevoss twins do the same thing, where, you know, they have tens of millions of guys behind Facebook initially, right? Or they're still known for driving around basic cars, like SUVs, like, you know, like old, you know, things, and they might have 50 million in Bitcoin, but they act like they're broke, and they act like they're still ready for the next check. They put it back in, or they save, or they reinvest. So I'm the same way. I
love that. Well, we're gonna talk a little more about the investment side after this short break, but before we do that, everyone, really listen to what Josh is saying here. I mean, this is why I get jazzed when I have in-studio guests, people that have been through the trenches. You know, a couple things that you can learn from this. One is, don't leave your side hustle until your hustle turns into a 24/7. It can take care of you. Number two, reinvest. You know, just because you make some money, don't live large. Live large within the company by reinvesting and doing things of that sort. And then we're going to talk about I call it his other persona, the investor, advisor type of side, in a moment. So in a minute, we're going to just take a quick break, and then we're going to get back on. But literally, it's going to be a 15-second break, so stay tight, everyone. All right, we're going to take 5 seconds.
Sweet.
Literally 5 seconds.
It is never too late to quit smoking. Even just a single day after smoking cessation, your risk of heart attack begins to decrease.
Are you ready?
The American Lung Association has been helping people quit smoking for over 35 years.
All right, guys, we are back here on Entrepreneur Nation on KCI 88.9 FM. I'm your host, Ash Kumra. I have Josh here, and we are talking about what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. So far, Josh has talked about his own journey as an entrepreneur, you know, scaling, building companies, and what it takes to just stay the course. But now, what Josh is at the moment more known for, at least on the public side, is helping companies get funded. So before we talk about, how you got into it. What do you think it takes to become a fundable entrepreneur?
I mean, it takes a lot, and people don't realize what the things that investors are really looking for. Some of it's not obvious to initial startup, but some of it can be like, do you have a board of directors or a board of advisors? Is it just one guy? Another thing is, do you have an exit? Like as far as past exits, should I say? Did you build a company and you sold it, or you made some good money off it, or is this your first idea and you're going to make a lot of mistakes?
What about if you didn't succeed? Like, what if you went belly under? Don't they have merit too?
Oh, definitely, and it also depends on maybe what milestones you hit. Like maybe you can say, maybe we went belly under, but like one of my friends founded something and it was on the covers of big magazines across the country, or in the political space.
Okay.
So it could be okay. Maybe that went under, but the team that believed in you was pretty awesome, and you made some progress, and you made a platform. So okay, that can be there's some merit to that. I mean, not every company is going to sell, and investors understand that, but those are two things.
Okay. What about the preparation side? Like, what are you looking for when you hear pitches or when you help companies with their pitches? What are the elements?
Yeah. One of the big things that I think investors look for is scalability. A lot of people come up with ideas and it's kind of short term or short lived. Like an event business can be tough to scale, right? To like national or global. For niche things, like parties or things, Sorry, but like for example, one of my guys that I'm working with, I'll shout Adolfo. He had a pop-up party business, and it's tough to scale some of those kind of things.
A what business?
It's called pop-up party. He did an awesome party at Hard Rock, and they're gonna make a whole business out of throwing events all over the place and in hotels. But it was a tougher thing to invest in. Whereas now he's basically partnered with a company that has a natural stevia product. That's something easier, right? When stevia, it's like a sugar alternative, right?
Okay.
So everyone's into the health craze these days, and it's a lot easier for us to say, okay, let's send 20 containers of that to Whole Foods, East Coast, 50 to Costco, 10 pallets to Europe to try it out, and when you're pushing pallets and cartons, then it's not about all the work that goes into some physical thing, and it's like something scalable where you can. That was always my dream when I was growing up. I wanted some sort of business where I'm making money while I'm sleeping, where there's thousands of orders or dollars or millions, right? A second, a minute, a day, right, happening just without me putting in additional effort.
You're saying that this company, which I think is a great idea, you're saying that this company literally did a product which is doing these pop-up events, which I get. I like this whole pop-up thing. It's like such a trendy thing now. You have pop-up concerts, like Jay-Z will do a pop-up concert in like a random kind of venue or something like that, or pop-up food truck stops. That's where I really saw a lot of pop-up stuff, especially with Koji. They do a really good job of that. And you're saying that this company realized that they couldn't scale it fast enough, at least from seeking capital. So instead of changing the business together, they found a strategic partner, the Stevia company, right? Well,
they basically pivoted and do a total different startup. So that's the next thing is fail fast.
Okay.
Actually a guy that spoke about this a couple weeks ago, Ty Lopez.
Okay.
I was actually at an event. He actually ended up pulling up my website on the screen and showcasing it, and gave me his number after. I'm inviting him to the event, by the way. One of his friends is coming, I believe. Anyways, he might. But he said fail fast. It's the total thing because you can bang your head against something for 10 years and be like, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna make it work, but maybe it's not meant to. Or maybe entrepreneurship's also about enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Well said.
So maybe you can make it work, but if it's gonna take every waking second for 25 years, then that defeats the point of building something that eventually you can kind of hand off. You have a team manage, you can sell, you can have shares in. So I'd say fail fast and get to the next business. And realize, what's going to work and what's not.
Okay. Let's talk about funding vehicles now. Like, what are the popular funding vehicles for getting investment? Like, I hear about safe notes, there's convertible debt, equity. Like, what are the notes? What are the structures that you like, you and your group?
One of the easiest things I'd say to do when you're seeking and you're trying to get invested is doing like a convertible note.
Okay. What is that?
So that's basically where an investor can put money into your business, and basically you owe them money back as debt. But if they really believe in your business, they can basically convert it into debt or into equity. So, you can be paying them back, and eventually they're like, you know, maybe they give you 200 grand, you're like paying 20 grand back, then 30 grand. Then they're like, you know what, convert the rest of the money into equity. You know, I believe in what you guys are doing, or you've made good progress, or you know, you can kind of keep it, and I'll just, you know, take a stake in the company now. And that's one of the ways.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate. What industries do not make sense to do convertible note? Or types of businesses, let's just say.
Well, there's certain businesses that are more consumer focused, and it might make sense to do crowdfunding.
Okay.
So, and actually, there's going to be the Crowdfund X logo on our press wall tomorrow.
Nice.
Just spoke with them, and they gave us the approval for that.
Nice.
But some businesses, it's better to do what's called reward-based fundraising, where you know, if you have some sort of consumer product, let's say like $20 to $100, you know, maybe it's some sort of like camera adjuster or some cool cup or, you know, clothing piece, then it's easier just to, you know, be like a donate, you know, invest $100 in the company, but you'll also get a shirt or you'll also get a prototype of this product. Sometimes that's easy, especially for risky things, you know. So, or a service business, you know, that's kind of tough for an investor to come into a service business. So,
okay.
You know, maybe have alternative ways to give back to the investor.
Now, what about traditional equity? Like, why didn't you talk about that yet?
Yeah, well, there's always the traditional equity. You know, there's just a lot of plays around it. You know, people are so used to the Shark Tank thing of 10% for $500,000. It's just, you know, there's convertible notes, and then there's different formats of fundraising. Like there's like, you know, Reg A offerings and things where you can go after general public. So another thing that people don't realize when they're raising money is sometimes you're supposed to actually register, you know, the SEC, depending on how you're registering.
Okay. And
you're not necessarily always supposed to go public and just, hey, anyone who wants to invest in my company, sometimes you're supposed to look for accredited investors.
Right.
You know? And we both know several here.
Yeah.
You know, actually, it's just at Ash's birthday party, and you know, there's a member of Tech Coast Angels.
Oh yeah, Rob.
You know,
yeah.
And you know, we both work with several people from Tech Coast Angels and other angel networks. And you know, a lot of them are accredited, which means, and people don't realize how tough that really can be, because that either means you made $250,000 in the last 2 years, you know, or you and your spouse, it's like 300 grand or something like that, basically, or that you have $1 million in assets, not including your primary residence. Because then you could be like, oh, my house is worth $1 million, but the rules know this, because no one's going to go sell their $1 million property to go put it into a startup, and they shouldn't, basically, at that point. You know, you don't have enough wealth to, you know, basically you need to be the investors need to be in a place where they can safely give you money, and they're not going to be turning around and needing it back immediately, you know, or they're not tripping out.
All right, let's take a segment into let's talk about. For those who are just tuning in, this is KUCI 88.9 FM Entrepreneur Nation with Ash Kumra. I have Josh Bois here. He's a solid.
Bois.
It's been Bois. I thought it was Bois the whole time.
Just Bois.
My mistake. All right, Josh Bois. Was that French?
Yeah, it is.
I remember my French in high school. So we have Josh Bois here, and we're talking about, you know, what it takes to become a fundable, scalable entrepreneur. We've so far talked about Josh's journey himself as an entrepreneur, which I wanted to make sure so people understand that he's not just reading off some Inc. magazine article. Like, he's been there, done that, and now he is on the other side helping companies get funded. And one thing we've talked about so far is what it takes to get funded in terms of high-level things, traits you got to have. We talked about the funding notes. Now I want to talk about some of these industries. I talked about before, Josh, you came on the air, about Facebook and data privacy and how this could affect consumer apps and things like that. There's been a lot of, I wouldn't say regulation, but a lot of press on certain disruptive industries, not just the social media, but this whole blockchain phenomena that's happening. And I'm just curious on your standpoint, like, does your group interact in the whole blockchain space at all?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I was actually just retained by a venture capitalist out of Hong Kong, who found me via LinkedIn, actually. And he actually flew out here. We actually made all sorts of introductions. The montage, we had investor after investor come through. We actually took him to up to LA and did another mini investor event. So we'll make introductions, but you know, the crypto space is really tough. Not only is the IRS these days starting to tax the wallets, which they should, you know, since see their earnings. But it's actually illegal to, ask for investors in the U.S. and unless they're accredited for ICOs, you're kind of supposed to go ask, John Doe here, or John Smith.
Really? Because I see these emails all the time.
Oh yeah, and they're supposed to put, hashtag ads, hashtag sponsored.
Wow.
A lot of celebrities got in big trouble because they'd be like, they'd attach their name to an ICO, initial coin offering, and then they'd promote these ICOs and there's kind of just pumps and dumps, which is exactly what FINRA and SEC doesn't want. They don't want people just bumping up the price of a stock or some security and then just leaving it in the dust, and then they make money and now all the investors are like, you know, have nothing to show for it, especially with these coin offerings, because it's not like a physical product. So we do, you know, there's some people that, I think the mining side of it's actually the interesting side.
Okay,
That's where
tell me
you're,
why.
you know, I mean, less and less these days because the crypto price went down. You know, Bitcoin and some of these coins are going down. They're getting hurt from these regulations. But that's where you're always generating new coins without buying it with dollars. You know, so if you can get cheap power and cheap server space, those are things that make it effective and incentivize you doing mining operations. And you can buy into those too these days.
How do you buy into those? I'm curious.
So there's places where they have like whole data centers, and basically you just kind of buy like a share of server space. I'm not sure the exact model, but you can put in like $500 or $10,000, $25,000, $100,000, and basically you get like a share of the crypto that comes out of that. So there's some interesting things going on in crypto, but I personally didn't invest. You know, I know people actually that had tens of thousands of these coins when they're worth like 10 cents, 50 cents. They got in early, and then Mt. Gox actually got hacked. That's where a lot of people had them. So one of my good buddies has been to my investor conference. Actually, you know, he had. I mean, he's making tons of money off his businesses. You know, he's not really tripping about the Bitcoin, but he would have been. You know, he would have 10, 15, 25 million off Bitcoin.
Wow.
You know, just because it went to $20,000 and it started at 20 cents, so it might have made more than that. But and it's tough. You know, there's a lot of tricky situations with actually getting your money out of crypto.
Really?
You know, so I mean, you might be able to put money in, but it doesn't just because you have 50,000 sitting there doesn't mean it's always easy to liquidate.
Okay.
You know, there's prices to liquidating too.
Yeah. Has there been anything in blockchain outside of the data mining stuff that really interests you and your group? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah, I kind of like when it gets into the more blockchain side of it, because that's when things have become decentralized.
Yep.
So the venture capitalist that hired us in the crypto space, he actually had 2 ICOs, and one was actually making gambling more transparent by using the blockchain to kind of, so it's not like, let's say online, if you're doing slot machines online, I would never trust that, but if you're doing that, at least, you know, it's done transparently, so you know you're not getting screwed, basically, so the odds are in everyone's favor. And this other one was like a big data one, so being able to buy and sell data, like, you know, key marketing data online. People can upload and license it, and you know, the current way, if the AWS or the other server got hacked, you're screwed, right, out of all that data. But this decentralizes it, so even if one node gets hacked, it's secured in the blockchain. But
okay,
I really like, you know, more traditional hardcore business, like at our event coming up here, and we'll talk about that later. You know, we have some cool people presenting, like solar companies and a company that adds calcium to the earth so that, you know, you get a better crop yield. I have a nanotechnology presenting at our event, and they have something for diesel fuel that you add this additive, and it makes diesel fuel like 20 or 30% more efficient. So if we add that to rail, we add that to freight, we add that to air travel, you know, for commercial uses, that could save a lot of money. So I mean, we actually called one of the Rothschilds the other day just to kind of like, you know, pitch him on some of these things, invite him to the event. But people like that, you know, can do a lot with it when they own all the companies in the world. By the way, let us save you 10-15% on the logistics. That's big money. So I can reinvest into my team and advertising all over the place. It's going to go to the next level.
Okay, so you're a big Shark Tank junkie, and you saw that there's a lot of investments out there, so you decided, I want to be in the investor relations role. Now, walk us through, what is that role?
So basically, we connect entrepreneurs to investors around the world based on, you know, what industry they're in or how much money they're raising. You know, so angel and seed investors are usually when you're trying to raise 100,000 or a couple 100,000. Then we have venture capitalists and private equity firms. You know, we have different types of investment profiles, and we also have high net worth individuals. Recently, we've been working a lot on family offices. Okay.
What are family offices for those who don't know?
So family offices is actually, it's a really cool concept. It's actually when like billionaire families or families with 100 million or, you know, 500 million, you know, tons of money, basically literally set up a dedicated office just to manage their money. So they're actually a little bit less risk averse than a VC, you know, a venture capital firm. Everyone thinks they're just going to walk into a VC and get a deal done, but VCs are known for spending months of due diligence, you know, because they're basically investing other people's money. Whereas a family office, it's like, you think of like a wealthy family like the Rockefellers or something, you know, things like that, where, you know, they have money and they put it into philanthropy and other things. But basically, so we're bringing some of these types of guys into the room as well. And I even spent part of last Saturday actually reaching out to about 20% of the Orange County's billionaires. You know, their families, or their, you know, the juniors or the kids, like John Wayne's kids, or, you know, George Agros Jr., who I've invited to the event, and other people like that. So I'm trying to bring high, powerful people that can invest into these companies. And our event actually coming up next Thursday,
Yep.
April 19th, Balboa Bay Club, top floor, overlooking the yachts. About 120 plus investors. But basically, some of these companies are looking for millions. And we actually have a pretty cool focus. Like I said, one of the companies is selling for the ground, calcium. One's a nanotech. One's a solar company. Some of them are crypto platforms. So some of it's not always, good for the world stuff, and it's just strictly financial. And there's some other companies coming into the fold, like the Stevia company might present.
Love that.
As well. But yeah, so it's really exciting. Basically, I get paid almost to kind of the network and have fun with these millionaires and billionaires, and we actually really get along because I've been in business, and I'm usually recommending all sorts of tech and stuff for them as well, and they want to bring me into their businesses. And then, a lot of investors bring me into their meetings, just even when I'm not part of it, just to kind of be devil's advocate for them. When a startup's pitching them, and they're like, Josh, is this,
Yeah, you bring the cool kid millennial perspective.
Well, that, and it's like, we don't understand necessarily all the tech that's going on. You ask the hard questions to get to the bottom to see if
by the way,
there's
a little side note, did you watch the Facebook at all, the congressional hearings?
Oh my god, well, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched the clips, and it made me really sad. One, because the technological knowledge of Congress, I felt was so inadequate to properly diagnose the situation with Facebook. Which I understand they have to sell our data in order to make money. And I've known this forever. Everyone's like, oh my god, we don't have privacy on there. Data's being sold.
Yeah.
That's how you advertise on there. And it's actually beautiful because it's really easy to advertise on Facebook in a very highly targeted fashion because you have so much data. Even more than Google sometimes. As far as, their relationships, you can search, you can show ads by job title, or if they like parenting magazines, or if they're likely to have a home, if they're consumers, girl, boy, if they're, all sorts of things. But, that's not possible without ads. But, yeah, they've definitely probably crossed the line a little bit, and there's some things that are a little sketchy that they asked about.
Well, I bring that up because I feel like some of these investors are similar to those senators who might not have understood the whole bigger picture on technology. So you're like the Zuck to them, or like, hey, help explain to me, is this really disruptive? Why is this AR, VR thing going to make money? You're like that younger, progressive tech person for them. The way the Congress people were trying to expect Zuck to answer that same stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was funny, man. Some of those responses, like, so they clearly hadn't done any research. Like one of the guys was like, so how do you make money off this re-platform? He's just like, ads. And he's like, oh, great idea. It's like, yeah, not just great. Like that's the whole reason Alphabet, which is the company that owns Google, basically Google is making money, Facebook's making money, it's off ads, and then there's retargeting, which is something we charge for, but
so that's interesting. So how do you handle when you hear a pitch that says we're going to disrupt a Google or a Facebook, but they're cash strapped? How do you believe in them? What does it take for them to like be a disruptor if they're seeking money and they don't have a lot of money?
Well, one of the biggest things is, if it's so revolutionary, do you have a patent?
Okay.
Because otherwise, big companies are just going to squash them and step right on them. So that's never fun.
I love how he looked right at the camera when he said
right
that.
at you. There it is.
I love that. He had to let his groupies and nation know about that. He means business.
Hashtags. So we look for a patent, and then who's on the team? Is it a 22-year-old right out of college that took psychology instead of business?
Yeah.
Or is this like a seasoned executive that's like, I've done this business, I have these partners coming in, we might not have funding right now, but I just spent, how much are you invested? Did you put $50,000 of your own money that you've saved up into the software development to make this happen? So there's a bunch of factors. Like I said, the board is divided. Sometimes it's not even the product, it's the team, because the product changes over time. You have to peg, you have to adapt, and kind of switch off.
Cool. And when's your event coming up?
So our event is next Thursday, April 19th, at the Balboa Bay Club. Primarily for investors, for entrepreneurs to pitch in front of them. We do have some tickets for non-investors.
Okay.
If you're interested in coming, globalcapitalnetwork.com.
Perfect.
You can check more information on us out.
Perfect. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to you about some more lessons that entrepreneurs and investors can learn to become more successful or to find better investments. So stay tuned, everyone.
Stay tuned. One small spill could cost $7,800.
I'm a first-year business major. I'm a UCI staff member, and we're here to tell you about Giving Day, April 25th.
So we got
It's
about
one day dedicated
5,
to giving
7
back
minutes
on
left.
campus
Okay.
to the area that
Is
you
there
feel
anything else
most
you want me to
passionate
talk
about.
about?
You can give to your
You'd like-
school, a scholarship fund. There are over
Hey, feels so
90
good?
options on the
good,
site.
which
Oh,
is
feel great.
givingday.uci.edu.
Entrepreneur Nation.
I'm personally giving to the Parent Campaign for Student
it.
Success. What about you, Ashley?
Definitely the food pantry, which the senior class gift is supporting
Sounds
us.
like drum and bass.
That's awesome.
I know.
Both great
I like
causes,
his ads
and you
today.
should find
Those
yours
rates,
at
like
givingday.uci.edu. This campaign is all about participation. So it's not the amount that you give that counts, it's the fact that you
Jump
give
on
at all.
15 seconds.
So even $5 goes a long way.
Absolutely. Even $5 will make a big difference on Giving Day.
See you all on April 25th. Visit us at givingday.uci.edu.
All right, everyone, we're back. Entrepreneur Nation here with Ash Kumra on KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I have Josh Bois, and we're talking right now about what it takes to become a scalable, fundable business. In case you didn't jump on earlier, we first talked about Josh's own journey, lessons that he learned. I really liked what he talked about when he said, you know, you gotta, you know, if you want to have that passion, purpose type of business, unless it's paying the bills, have that other side of cash flow so you don't become that broke, starving ramen entrepreneur. Because if you have a poor mindset, how are you going to become rich all of a sudden? I totally agree with that. The other thing that we talked about is, you know, just because you're making money right now, reinvest it into the business. I mean, there's a reason why Amazon is consistently successful, growing and growing and growing, because they take their profits, or revenues, I should say, and put it back into the business, and they create new products. It's a great macro example of what you had said, which any entrepreneur can literally learn from, just from the Amazon story and from what Josh talked about. And then we talked about what it takes to become a fundable entrepreneur. We talked about the do's and don'ts. We talked about the types of investment vehicles, and we talked about Josh's role as someone who kind of is the ringleader, managing both the process for both entrepreneurs and men and women who want to fund these entrepreneurs. And we talked about his event, and we'll do a plug on where you can find out his event again at the end of this interview. But I wanted to end this interview before we, conclude it in a little bit, on other lessons that Josh can share, whether it's from your own or people that your mentors have taught you, for helping an entrepreneur become successful. It doesn't have to be just about funding. Just what are some lessons and things and tips and tricks? This is your time to show your pay it forward kind of mentality in a good way, because you can't cuss on air. That's the way radio is. Sorry.
My fierceness will shine through, though. Tenacity.
Okay.
Don't take no and get discouraged. Just keep working on that no till you get a yes. A lot of these investors and people with business, whether it's a potential partner for you or client or associate, they're busy and they have a life of their own. So just keep bugging and pursue them. Don't overbum me. But if you feel strongly in your gut, it's the right product, the right person, and you believe that this will change their life or change their customer base or be awesome for them, then go push till you get it. And I was just talking about this on one of my videos on JoshBoisTV earlier, but SOG. You know what this stands for?
No.
You're gonna forget it now. Shots on goal. Just like hockey, okay? They shoot 100 shots to get 2 or 3 in by the end of the goal. And I do that in personal and business life. But just okay, they didn't say yes. Maybe they'll respond to your email next week. Maybe they're on vacation. So just keep calling other people. And when you put that energy in the universe, I feel like you get it back.
I want to say something about that. Are you saying if someone says no right now, while it's great to want them, go on someone else, but don't focus on the person who said no because there's someone else out there in a way?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Make sure they're the right person. Pre-qualify people too.
Okay.
Don't spend too much pouring out your life story before you tell them, by the way, we're looking for 25 grand. Do you have it or no? Oh, no, it's way too much. Then you just waste your time. But at the same time, also visualize yourself talking to that person.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many celebrities I've worked with where I was like, I want to work with that, producer or that, singer or that. But I'm like, holy crap! The next day, it's like, oh, Josh, I want to introduce you. I'm like, what? And it's nuts how that works. Or big millionaires or people this event is a materialization. Visualize me being on stage in front of all these investors.
So you visualize. You're a big proponent of that.
Yeah, and then now I'm in front of all these yachts, and it gave me a reason to reach out to the press. I was on the phone with the CEO of the Orange County Business Journal earlier. And the person in charge of startups there. We're friends and talking, and she wants to sit down and OC Register and Coast Magazine, all these different places. So it gave me a reason to reach out to billionaire families and the press. So you'll find your right thing, but when you feel strongly about something, go after it and broadcast. And that's.
And I like that. Shots on goals. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, shots on goal.
Shots on goal. I'll give you a funny example. You talk about Shark Tank. This is what I used to see, but I think people get it now. I will see an entrepreneur on Shark Tank literally pitch, and Cuban will say, "I'm out," and then they'll keep talking to Cuban to try to pitch him. But there's other sharks that
Yeah.
are like interested. And they're like, but Mark, and he's like, I'm out. And then when he does, because they don't focus on the other people, they will literally say, hey, I'm out because you didn't give me the time or day. And it's kind of an ego thing because they're all jealous of Cuban in terms of his wealth and his persona on the show. At least at times, at least Robert is. And but you don't. But it's there's a reason why they get annoyed. It's not just from the ego. It's like, look, I'm here to invest too. I'm not Mark Cuban, but I bring value. And I like what you said about that. It is a numbers game, but it's also working smart, focusing on the right kind of audience. Did you have to first figure out your first kinds of investors to go for? Like, were you like going for certain kinds of audience members to be investors or participants, and it wasn't working? You're like, oh, I'm going for an audience that doesn't get tech, and I'm pitching a tech product. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was I mean, it's kind of just my existing organic network and going after it. And there's another thing for entrepreneurs too, is people are like, oh well, I don't know people that do this or companies. Expand, add to your pipeline. The people you went to high school and college with are definitely not going to be your investors.
Okay.
I've found more and more often that even the people I went to college with, very little help for some things, especially in this kind of high profile things when it's like, hey, you got any investors that do this or that VCs? People, that's not their network, especially at our age, It's the 40, 50, 60-year-olds that are, in finance and other things that when they get serious about money. So it's, you have to expand your pipeline. That's why I'm out there reaching out to billionaire families. The people I didn't know them either, so I went after them. And we have connections to some of these guys, but and we're tapping from different angles too. Some having a buddy reach out to the kid, and I'm talking to the dad, and eventually you get people engagement too. So even when people say no, just keep talking to them or get them on your newsletter. And sometimes they need to see your thing pop up a couple times. You need to see your product or service and adapt to it. They like you on Facebook. They see it eventually. Okay, maybe I will buy. That could be.
So you're saying they have to see proof that you're out there doing stuff.
Proof that you're out there, and there's a statistic in advertising that takes like 8 or 9 times to before someone will remember that they either saw your ad or to make a purchase.
Yep.
So they might need to see the billboard ad or the TV ad, and then the website, then the social media, and eventually like, oh, what, maybe I will try that. Whether it's a Coca-Cola or it's an investment product, maybe it's a certain type of insurance even. Maybe they're like, maybe I don't need XYZ insurance. This new type of thing. And eventually, like, oh, Bob talks about it, and they see it, and done.
I love it. I love that. Okay. Well, we have time for 1 or 2 more mentorship lessons before we conclude. What else do you want to share? This is your free.
Too bad you guys can't ask. Is anyone asking any questions? quick! You guys got a final question?
Anyone?
All right. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about not just our event, but kind of what we do. So we help entrepreneurs from around the world connect with investors around the world. So outside of California, where we take entrepreneurs on tour to different cities, we're working on global events. So my partner's actually done some global events as well, but we're looking to expand to Dubai and London. So dream big.
Dream big.
That's the biggest thing.
Who taught you how to dream big? Was there a mentor in your life? Was it a family member?
A lot of people, but I think sometimes people just their vision isn't big enough. So it's like just in general, I think a lot of people with the JOBs, just over brokes, you're just getting paid just enough to stay there. I'm sorry, guys, but someone has to be a little meanie here. And you have to. So I was actually watching a video where they're talking about some people, their threshold for achievement is too low. Where they're like, oh no, I probably can't be a millionaire or whatever, but. I'm doing pretty good. You're too stoked on small. Okay, so what? You got a $2,000 bonus, and you're at this job that you're going morning and day, and your boss is mad at you because you were 2 minutes late after lunch. Be the boss. Create jobs or just join an awesome team that you believe in. But the nice thing with startups and things, there's a lot more control. If you join in, there's only 5 or 10 people. Then it can turn into something. I actually, I was. During my entrepreneurship minor at Santa Clara University in the Bay Area, I was forced to do an internship. They wouldn't let me intern at my own company. They wanted me to get. So I actually worked for Derek Dukes. He was the 5th person at Yahoo, and then it turned into Yahoo. And they just bought it by Verizon. They've had Marissa Meyer, another wifey. They've gone through their ups and downs. Who knows if Google just transplanted them to dive? Who knows? But right. But so join a 5-person team, and you never know where it's going to go. But I would also be wary of wasting too much of your time with sweat equity at a startup that's not going to go anywhere. I'd be pretty picky about. Okay. Do you really believe in it?
Be cautious of where you should go. Pay your dues, and I like what you said about the last part, the team thing. Not everyone has to be the founder or the visionary. You can be an entrepreneur by being an entrepreneurial team member. Founding team member is as equal as an entrepreneur because you are literally acting as if you're the owner because you have way more responsibilities. Before we segue, I first want to say thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Ash.
I can't wait to see you at your event next week. Tell us, again, the link and any other info on it before we sign off for our next show.
Definitely. If you go to globalcapitalnetwork.com, actually under order services, you can either buy like a ticket or you can get a package to present at our event. It's actually $3,500. So it's not necessarily, we actually price it also so it's not just for a random startup with the guy being like, I have an idea for an app, but for actual companies that are actually already making moves or revenue and they have a marketing budget.
It's a marketing
and
budget,
they're maybe already making 500 to $1 million or $2 million a year, and they're looking for another couple of million so they can go to 20 million.
Right.
And that's the fun stage to come in because that's when they give us stock. The stock's actually worthwhile, and we can make a bigger impact than just and it's easier to fund too when you're already making money. So. Don't worry about with your hands out, always getting an investor. Why don't you go make a proof of concept, make your first $100,000, then come to the table. Just like you go on Shark Tank, they don't want to hear that you have $500 in sales. They'll laugh you off unless you have like something really world changing and a really good patent attorney.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you again, man, for being on the show. And before we sign out and for our next show comes up in a few minutes, Entrepreneur Nation, if you have ideas for guests, or if you want to be on the show, if you have a cool idea, initiative, or you're a game-changing entrepreneur investor, send me an email, ash@youngry.com. Make sure to check out KUCI Social on Twitter. It's at KUCIFM. At Instagram, it's KUCIFM. And on Facebook, it's KUCI889 as their fan page. This is Entrepreneur Nation on KUCI 80.9 FM with Ash Kumra signing off. I'm going to play some commercials before we jump into our next show. Thank you again. You all make this show thriving, and can't wait to see you next week. All right, bye.
Out.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone,
See?
don't forget to do the right thing
Awesome.
with your old ones.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
The Consumer
Josh Bois
Technology
TV on
Association
Entrepreneur
and its
Nation.
members are making
Out.
recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV.
Thank you guys for
Don't
watching.
throw away your old one.
That was
Don't let your old tech
Josh Bois
spot
TV
your
on
home.
Entrepreneur Nation talking about
Just
Global
visit
Capital Network.
greenergadgets.org.